resumed.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to Ignition Gaming's second weekly brawl. We are glad to have you guys here, and we are going to hop right into game one.
That was beautifully stuttered
Villanova... Villanova Wildcats versus We Are Lions. Now, we followed the Villanova Wildcats last week through their tournament win, and they did a really good job. Definitely notable play from them at the whole tournament. So, what do you think we're going to be seeing going into this week's tournament, Zink?
If We Are Lions here did any amount of research, we're definitely going to be seeing a Warwick ban. Me and you talked about this extensively last week, about how strong Infidelis' Warwick was. Infidelis helping being the only two returning players coming from the Villanova Wildcats here. A bunch of changes out for the roster.
Yeah,
you know, they are a collegiate team, and a lot of them have been taking the break for Thanksgiving, so...
Yep, that's actually an interesting thing to point out, and we're gonna have to see if the synergy is there with this team the way it was last week. The Wildcats actually choosing to ban out Warwick, and that's actually interesting, seeing as how strong Infidelis is. Do you think they're afraid of a first pick?
I don't know. I'm not too familiar with We Are Lions. I don't know how often Felix would be playing it. I don't know if Warwick is the meta jungler right now. We've been discussing this a little bit, me and you ourselves, about how Fiddlesticks is really strong in the jungle right now. And there's a few champions who've just been shining through this new patch. We've been playing on this for well over a week now, and we've been seeing a lot of people coming out. And Warwick, you know, he has been showing some presence, so maybe they are a little afraid of it, but we do know that Infidels can play a lot more champions extremely comfortably. We have we had his Zac and his Nocturne last week, so we might be seeing an all-in, or maybe due to the changes in the roster, we might be seeing an entirely different type of comp coming out of them.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to check, is just to see what type of team comps they're going to be running this week, and to see how We Are Lions is going to answer the jungle presence and support presence from Infidelis and helping. We saw last week that they had really good vision control and really good pink presence throughout the whole game, and it really just led to solid shot calling and really good rotations and objective maneuvering throughout the whole game from the Villanova Wildcats. So I'm interested to see how We Are Lions is going to react to that. And we right away we see a ribbon band targeted at Bon Jaley Jr. actually. So that was one of his mains. Yeah, first pick Janna. That's always strong to pick up just in case that Fiddlesticks pick that we were talking about. And in general, she's just a very strong support in the meta.
Yeah, we've actually been seeing a lot less bans out of her recently. She was S tier for the longest time. It was banner pick Janna every game, but now with the changes to the jungle and all the changes to a few champions, naming Linar with a few nerfs coming out on him, there's a different change in the meta bans right now.
And even though Linar's getting had a few nerfs in this last match, we do see him being first picked over by 13 seconds. And Infidelis chooses to go with the Udyr, it looks like. He's hovering over it right now, and he switches over to Nocturne. That would be an interesting pick, too. We saw his Nocturne was really brutal last time. He really likes those hard, engagey type junglers, and seems to do a really good job with them.
Oh, for sure. But the Gnar is something we actually were unable to see last week. We saw a lot of Maokai and things similar to that coming out of the top lane from Villanova Wildcats. We actually saw an Aurelia one game, I believe, and she definitely showed up. We know how strong Aurelia is, and she has so many hard matchups in lane, right?
Absolutely. But I think with this Gnar pick, what they're looking for is one of those team fight comps that we were talking about earlier. Gnar not being that strong in lane anymore because of the nerfs, but he's definitely going to be able to bring that CC stun, the hard CC chains in team fights, and really lock down any AD carry. But Janna is a good answer to that. Moving into the early and mid-game team fights, once Janna gets that Monsoon, she's really able to disengage both this Nocturne and this Gnar pick. So I think the 1 and 2 pick for the Villanova Wildcats is actually kind of just falling back onto comfort picks rather than reacting to Lions picks.
Well, there's not a whole lot you can pick into Janna, you know? Like, what do you pick into a Janna? She kind of just counters everything, I feel. Like,
yeah,
she's the peel that you need.
I
don't know, she's everything.
Yep, I think Janna was just a super smart pick by them right there, and we are seeing Trundle and Diana hovered over here. These aren't very meta picks from what we've seen in solo queue and what sparse tournaments are going on right now, but it looks like these are going to be locked in for Felix and Kyle right now, the Trundle and the Diana, and that's really interesting. Do you think this is going to be a Diana mid lane or maybe a Diana top lane, something that we haven't really seen a lot of?
I feel like this is actually gonna be a Diana mid lane against most melee range champions. She stands a really good, really good chance. Namely Zed's banned, but she does stand a really good chance against Zed. We do see Gnar in the top lane, so I don't see her going into that lane fairly well. She's really susceptible to poke, and there's not a whole lot you can really do against a Gnar as a Diana. You have to wait till 6 and just hope that you don't die. So I feel like we're gonna see her mid lane, and she has really high snowball potential. There's the meta around her right now where you rush Abyssal Scepter, and it gives you some insane amount of shred and damage coming out of the early game because it's a fairly cost efficient item and it's pretty cheap early on.
Absolutely. And right away we see Orianna and Corki right now being hovered over for the Villanova Wildcats. Corki actually locked in, and this Orianna would bring a lot of team fight presence for the Wildcats moving into the late game team fights. If she gets going in lane or even just gets a good amount of farm, she's really going to be dealing a lot of damage, and it works really well with the Nocturne pick as well as the Gnar pick. So we're going to have to see how those team fights play out in the mid game.
This is actually a synergy that we saw coming out last week where we had Orion in the mid lane with Infidelis on his Nocturne, and we saw some crazy engages coming out of him. I believe Infidelis walked away from that game with about 11 kills. His jungle is definitely something to be watching in this game.
Keep talking, 1 second.
Oh, all right. Looks like we're gonna have a Jace pick out of Von Jaylee on the top lane. Jace and Gnar is a fairly safe lane for Jace and Gnar. Like it's kind of a battle of the champions up there. Jace is known for his insanely strong lane presence and his poke potential, and so is Gnar. But with the recent nerfs, we'll see how that match plays out. We are seeing an ignite out on Jace though, so Meister might have a harder time coming into this lane with a teleport rather than an ignite.
And you know, I really like what We Are Lions is doing right now with the Caitlyn pick. It's a safer pick into the Nocturne and the Gnar, and it's a safe lane as well, picking into the Corki lane. So I think she's going to be able to farm out that lane and really get the items she needs going into the mid and late game to start sieging turrets, especially with that Janna as well. So that's a super safe lane by We Are Lions.
Yeah, we're seeing a very siege heavy comp coming out of them actually today with a Caitlyn, Jace, and Janna. Like you have a very safe poke and hit the tower, and you get your way.
And the interesting standout pick here to me is still that Diana pick. It doesn't really fit into the siege comp very well, but if they do get ahead, and I think this is going to bring a lot of early game potential and snowball potential for We Are Lions. If Diana gets ahead in mid lane or gets a good gank from Trundle, it might just snowball that lane really out of control. And we know Diana's a very snowbally champion, like you were talking about. She has really good build paths, and she can just get going very quickly.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the Trundle pick more than Diana. I just have this secret love for Diana. She's one of my mains in mid lane, but the Trundle pick into the new jungle, I'm not sure how strong it's gonna be. Trundle's an extremely mana heavy jungler, and he's gonna have to go with the axe. What is it? Skirmisher's Blade, maybe? No, can't remember what the name of it is, but it gives extra. It's an AOE smite at that point.
No, you were right.
I feel like yeah. Is that what it's called? Skirmisher's Blade?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna have to run that item this time, where he gets an AOE smite. That way, he has a little bit better time clearing the jungle. The new meta is shifted around very aggressive junglers, and I feel like Trundle does not fit that very well. So I feel like he's gonna have to go with a very farm heavy jungle this game.
Yep, and the pick that I do like also from the Villanova Wildcats is that Karma pick for the last pick. That brings a really pokey lane that's actually kind of hard for the Janna Caitlyn lane to deal with. And we talked about how Caitlyn and Janna is a safe lane, but when you're going into a lane like Karma Corki, there's a lot of poke coming out from both champions, and you're really going to have to be on the fly about dodging those skill shots if you're going to survive in that lane. That is a rough lane for any matchup, really.
Yeah, and we did see helping on his Karma last week. We found out that it was actually his main support, so it's something we know he's extremely comfortable on.
Absolutely, and Helping's Karma last week was very strong. He was landing Qs left and right. He knew exactly when to use his ultimate for shields, when to use it for Qs, when to even use it for the heal. He actually had that outplay mid onto Too Much Deeps last week, where he used the heal to bait out their whole team onto him, and his whole team turned around and won a team fight. So we know Helping's Karma is very brutal.
And we're gonna have to see how the synergy plays out bot lane. Last week we had, oh geez, what was his name for the ADC on Villanova? We had fun with his name the whole time.
I do not remember.
We had fun with his name the whole week.
It was
like Sushi.
By me.
Sushi, yeah.
Sushi, there we go. Sushi. Yes.
Or was that the mid lane? No, that was the mid lane. Darn it.
Yeah, that was the mid laner.
I do not remember his name. Either way, we're seeing a different ADC, and we're gonna have to see how that synergy plays out bot lane. We saw the ADC last week have a hard time once in a while. He was getting ahead early, and the games he wasn't getting ahead early, Corki was pounding on him. We're actually seeing Corky come out of Villanova this week, so it's a big difference. It's a big swing for them because
Yep.
Corky was the only thing that was beating them in game, but it just was not winning the games for him.
Yep, it was actually 3 out of the 4 games that are, or the 4 out of the 5 games rather, that Corky was played against Villanova's 80 carry last week. And when Corky got ahead, they just pulled ahead in the mid game, and it was really hard for Villanova. And they used their objective and vision control to really work around the gameplay.
All right.
All right. Fuego was their 80 carry. Sushi
Fuego,
just
there
messaged
we
me.
go.
Yeah.
There we go. That's who it
There we
was.
go.
Okay. I remember that now. But yeah, Fuego, we saw a lot of Kalista and I believe 2 Ezreal games out of him. 3 Kalista,
Yep.
2 Ezreal. And
the Kalista game was actually pretty clever the way they put together that team comp.
oh, that
I
comp.
really liked how they used
Oh my
Kalista.
gosh, that comp. Yeah, we saw a for anyone who wasn't here last week, we saw a oh gosh, what was the top lane? I think that was the Aurelia
Zach Malphite, Kalista, Galio support, and Orianna mid.
Okay. That comp was
That team comp worked very well for
disgustingly.
them.
Oh my gosh, that team comp. That was probably one of the most dirty things I've seen in League of Legends in a
Yep.
long time. Since the original Wombo combo team, Malphite, Amumu, Morgana, and Fiddlesticks,
Yep.
and then whatever else you wanted in there. That was
Yep, like a
good times,
Nunu.
man.
I just remember the Empire hide in a bush with Nunu and the
That's
Karthus
still fun,
ultimate.
dude. You can still do it, and it's hilarious.
Especially, Nunu's actually kind of a strong jungler in the meta right now.
Looking at the ward
He's
skin,
been-
or the skin war, it looks like Villanova's going to take this one away with 1 skin up. We got Team 4 skin versus Team 3 skin.
Yep. Good that you point that out. We always know that if you have a skin on a champion, it means you are the master of that champion. You might as well be Faker.
Might as well. Actually, interesting fact. I'm sorry. Faker's only played with 2
Faker-
skins in his entire professional
Yep.
career. He played
Yep.
1 game on accident with Battle Bunny Riven, I believe it was, because the computer testers before them were playing with Battle Bunny Riven, and he didn't notice that there was a skin on the champion, so he had to play the game with the skin because it was too late by the time he realized what had happened. And then he played with his SKT T1 championship skin.
Zed.
Yeah. And I believe that was during the IEM.
It was during
Cologne.
OGN finals, wasn't it?
I thought it was during
did that?
Cologne when they
Oh, Cologne.
yeah, when Cloud9 brought
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Correct. Alrighty. So we are here in game 1. Again, this is We Are Lions versus the Villanova Wildcats, and interesting to see how this game's gonna go.
Yeah, we're gonna hope to see an interesting level 1. All last week we didn't really have too many exciting level 1s. We had a few deep wards. Looks like Jace is taking a little bit too long to buy, so he might be late with his team, and along with Janna actually, so we might see a 3v5 fight early on. Possibly not. We got
Pretty standard starts for both teams.
yeah. It's kind of the new meta on supports right now with the 2 health pots with a single mana pot allows them to sustain in lane and give themselves a little more pressure.
Yep, and then we've also got that coin coming out from Janna. That's something interesting. Usually we see those Jannas going that Spell Thief's Edge to get the extra gold per 5 early game, but if they are playing this lane as safe as they should be, I think that coin will actually pay off, just because they don't want to really be trading with that Corky Karma lane.
Yeah, something else to note here is that Diana started with a Crystalline Flask and an extra mana pot as well as her 2 health pots. It's something I disagree with. I don't know, I'm one of the far and few between Diana players, and she's not too mana heavy, and you can get away with just a Doran's Ring and a couple health pots. In regards to the division here, we have a huge red line coming down from Villanova across the top side on the river, and
Yep,
very
really
minimal
great,
wards.
really great defensive wards.
Yeah, and we have absolutely no wards coming out from We Are Lions here, so it's interesting to see how hard that is. Oh, yeah,
And you know, Diana might be going that extra mana pot to maybe poke out this Orianna in mid lane and set up for a gank from Trundle. We know Trundle's early ganks aren't really that great, but with that pillar, he might be able to set up a gank for Diana in mid lane once she hits around level 6, and that mana pot might just be pushing her over the edge there to get that poke out and send Orianna back early. Both mid laners do have barrier though, so it's not too much kill potential in that lane. And we do see the summoner spell discrepancy in top lane with Jace going Ignite and Gnar going Teleport, so we'll see how that lane plays out as well.
We also, in regards to summoner spells, we had that Ignite on bot lane on that Karma, so we're going to see a very, very aggressive bot lane here. We might see Caitlyn getting shoved out a little bit too hard here early on by Corky.
Yep. and that's going to be the lane to watch in this early game. Is going to be that Caitlyn Janna lane versus the Karma Corki. Both lanes are very innately pokey, and we're going to have to see how that plays out. So far, we've got both of them CSing pretty well, and Q coming out from helping onto One Eyes. So that's the first poke going down, and they're going to have to avoid those.
Something to note on this is if Diana actually gets far ahead, there's not too much that Villanova's going to have to be able to respond to that. They have no exhaust on their team, so Diana might be able to roll over the team if she gets a decent snowball coming out here on mid.
Yep, and the poke is trading back in bot lane, helping throwing out the Qs, but Echo's trading back with the auto attacks onto helping as well, and both teams are just going to be content on farming out that bot lane right now.
Looks like the poke is slowly favoring towards Villanova, though. Echo and Ono slightly falling down on health with this Karma poke. It's huge. Getting all that extra gold off of that Spell Thieves, and you can just see the power of a Karma support in lane.
Absolutely, and we actually see Villanova Wildcats being level 2 first, so they are going to be able to take advantage of that. The Lions do just respond with level 2 as well, so we'll see if any action goes down. We get the Q coming out from helping and the Q coming out from Gyrome as well. Lots of damage being traded back and forth right now. Helping actually steps on the trap right there, going to clear those traps with the shield. A nice ulted Q coming out from helping to hit both One Eyes and Echo Project.
Something to note here is Caitlyn, if she does get caught, she's going to have to burn flash. She doesn't have her E quite yet. I feel like that's a little unfavorable. Generally, when I play Caitlyn, you go Q, EQ, and you get W a little bit later on. It's not too effective in the early laning. And, you know, with the possible snare coming out of Karma, that might just ruin her.
And this might be it. A nice Q comes out from Gyrome. The shield goes out, One Eyes goes really low, and they're trading back damage with auto attacks from Caitlyn. But that was a big trade both ways, and Gyrome still has his health pot, so that poke's going to stick onto them. Bot lane. Again, another nice Q from helping going down in this bot lane. There's a lot of action. We actually see Trundle coming around, and this is not warded right now. He's got the double buffs. Gyrome has Valkyrie. He goes ahead and Valkyrie's away. Here comes the pillar. Gyrome might have to blow his splash right here. He's taking a lot of damage. He blows the heal. Helping going around the backside actually gets a solo kill. No, he doesn't. One Eyes comes out with the shield. A nice Q from helping to finish him off. Echo's going low as well. Trundle does finish off Corki in the backside with the flash. Helping's stuck in the jungle right now. He's walking around. Meanwhile, in mid lane, we see Nocturne coming up with the Q as well. Shiny gets the slow off onto Diana. Kyle's running away right now, and the red buff's ticking. He's just going to walk back to his turret. But Karma's coming around as well, and they are sneaking around here. Trundle might run into him in the jungle right now. And Helping's coming around again. He gets the snare off. A nice pillar from Felix. And Infidelis is coming around as well. Helping's getting really low right now, but so is Felix. Both teams are running away. Shiny and Felix are walking away with 1 HP. Helping has no mana at all and needs to get out of there. Felix goes down to Infidelis. A great jungle rotation by Infidelis there, picking up another kill for them, and that was a 1-for-2 trade in the end.
Huge thing to note here in regards to the bot lane trade is that we still have heal and flash up on Caitlyn as well as the exhaust, and all 4 summoner spells were broke by both Corki and Karma there. So we might see a swing coming towards the We Are Lions here in regards to their bot lane pressure. Kyle taking a lot of damage off that poke on Orianna mid, both going fairly We're seeing a slight CS discrepancy going towards the side of Orianna here.
Yep, and even in CS on top lane, and pretty even in CS in bot lane as well. Orianna is picking up a little bit of a lead in mid lane from that poke, and Kyle's actually going to lose this wave and get an EXP advantage onto Shiny. And down in bot lane, you are correct. We did see all 4 summoner spells blown from the side of the Villanova Wildcats, so we do have a summoner spell discrepancy, and we can see if Echo Project and One Eyes are going to capitalize on that and get another gank from Trundle down there. Some nice deep wards actually. Some nice deep wards actually going down from the Villanova Wildcats to spot Trundle right there, going over to his Razor Beaks.
This is something we've been seeing a lot against Villanova. Teams are just kind of neglecting their vision, and it hasn't been paying out for them. So hopefully we get to see their lines pick up here. There's a huge trade going down on bot lane. Not too much happening. A lot
of damage going down on the Echo Project right now. Actually, he gets hit by another Q by helping. Helping and Gyrome are just poking down Echo Project right now. One Eyes is throwing out the shields, but it's not quite enough to win the trade back. Helping taking a lot of auto attacks right now. A Q goes down, still no summoner spells. Echo uses the heal. The exhaust goes down after Gyrome as well, and that's both summoner spells out from One Eyes and Echo Project. Echo Project has this flash though, so we'll see if he's going to be able to play this out. Helping is still super healthy on mana as well.
As I was saying though, with the vision here, we're seeing a huge discrepancy on the side of We Are Lions. There's only a couple wards down. Actually, across this entire game, there's only 1 pink and one pink out for Villanova. And we're actually, I don't know, maybe the jungles came through with a couple sweepers. We aren't seeing an early sweep out of the Janna after her first back. But we did see Helping get one, so maybe this will give them a huge...
Yep, and lots of damage going on in bot lane. Echo Project forced to flash out. Helping's going in as well, and Gyro and Helping are just doing tons of damage to One Eyes and Echo Project right now. Echo Project's actually so he's not going to be able to trade efficiently anymore, and Helping and Gyro are sitting on just enough for another spell reel. Nocturne rotating down looks like he wants to get some action, but we do have that Scuttle Crab vision for the Lions.
Oh, huge damage coming in, but Diana, she burns her Q ult. Reset, here comes Trundle with the pillar. Is this going to be a kill?
Beautiful.
Oh, the Oriana was just a little late out of shiny there.
Yep. Really nice play by We Are Lions, and Felix's pillars are spot on this game. He's doing a really good job on Trundle. I am impressed.
Yeah, you know, I gave him a little flack early, and he's definitely showing me up for it. We're seeing 2 pink wards, one out of Jace on top, and Trundle has one in his inventory right now. We also have another pink ward down on Helping. So maybe we'll see this Vision War coming out here soon. Something to note is that Diana's getting this free farm in mid lane, and like I said, she's gonna have a hard time against Poke champions. So this gives her a little bit of a chance to get into this game, and she's that all-in carry. And I'm saying there's no exhaust on the side of Villanova this game. So if they can get ahead with that Diana, she might be able to just two-shot the entire team, and we might see a huge upset here with our reigning champions going down in the first round.
Yep, and tons of poke coming down onto Echo Project and bot lane. Gyro laying down the ultimates and Helping as well, hitting the ultimate Q. He goes in for the Valkyrie. Is he going to be able to get the snipe with his ultimate? Echo Project juking out, and a beautiful snipe. One Eyes is going to be able to take out Helping in, under the turret as well, so that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, and Gyro is limping away from this one. Is he going to be able to turn on One Eyes? One Eyes going a little deep right here, and Gyro still has enough mana for a Q. One Eyes goes in, and that's a ton of burst coming out from Gyro onto One Eyes. One Eyes goes down as well, and Trundle's a little late to the party. Felix coming in here, but Gyro does not have enough mana for his Valkyrie, it doesn't look like. He's saving up for it. 53 mana left. He goes for the snipe. He's Valkyrie's the other way. Oriana's here to clean up. Infidelis comes in with the ultimate. Gyro going very low, but Felix isn't going to be able to finish him off. And this looks like a dragon for the Villanova Wildcats.
That was a pretty huge trade coming down from Villanova. We know that 8% damage. Oh, look at the top lane. We got Nar jumping in on Jace. Jace dropping low below 250. Nar's just going to back off and take some of the lane pressure here. Looks like Diana might be looking for a steal here. Infidelis drops pretty low from that QE. Oh, Diana with the steal!
Diana. Kyle gets the steal over the wall. He comes in again with a nice Q. Gyro going really low. He flashes over. And that was a beautiful steal from Kyle Render to get Lions back in this game.
That was a huge play that he just made, and he didn't die for it. So that's something huge to note. He got a free dragon for his team, that 8% bonus going across the board on AP and AD. That was impressive. I gotta say, I feel like Infidelis choked that a little bit with his smite. We saw him last week pretty spot on with his smites, and it was a lot of character for him.
Yep. It was interesting. It was interesting. I think he had used his smite earlier actively onto Echo Project to slow him down. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he doesn't have that item yet.
No, he doesn't have the upgraded yet.
Yeah, he doesn't have that item yet.
Yeah. I think what happened is he wasn't. I feel like he wasn't scared of the Diana coming over the wall, so he was like, "Oh, I can just burn smite and get this burnt down real fast." But you know, Diana came over that wall, bursted him pretty hard.
Little miscommunication there. In top lane, actually, we did see Bon Jelly Jr. Having to blow Flash against 13 seconds. So, in a Jace lane against a Gnar lane, that's usually a winning matchup for the Jace, especially when you take Ignite. So Gnar's gonna have that TP for the next fight, and Jace is losing out in that lane. We already see a 10 CS discrepancy going down, and both players are gonna come out back with pretty core items. So. Should be pretty even in that lane.
We're starting to see a solid discrepancy in bot lane. 15 CS on the side of Corki. He's really showing the power of that mid game. You know, he's got that Sheen and that Phage. That's a lot of burst coming out on the side of Corki. Janna's shields can only mitigate so much.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things that did happen is Echo Project actually got the red buff off of Infidelis in that last team fight, so we'll see how he uses that one there. And we do see Trundle rotating down. Their Echo Project and One Eyes are kind of telegraphing this a little bit. He does walk over a ward right here, and the pink ward in the burst is going to see it, but Helping once more. Gyro and Helping going in for trade, and the red buff goes down. Helping gets pillared out by Felix. A lot of damage coming onto Helping right now, but the TP does come down from Gnar, and One Eyes goes in with a beautiful flash ult. Corky's going to Valkyrie away from this one, but Gnar's here. He's almost in range. He's going to be able to use his ult. He ults Felix into the turret, and Echo and Felix are going to try to walk out from this one. A lot of damage coming out on both of them, and that's a 2-for-0 trade. A beautiful TP, but Diana's coming down here and might be able to clean it up. Is she going to be able to get the Q over the wall? The pillar just barely misses Helping. And that was a 2-for-0.
If we look at top lane, Jace getting a lot of pressure on this tower. I feel like he wasn't scared to not run teleport. If he knew that his opponent had teleport, we know Jace gets to proc that W, and that's a lot of damage on tower. He got that halfway on one push. So,
Yep. That looks like he might be able to get the rest of it if 13 seconds doesn't get back in this lane fast enough. He's regenning that mana from his auto attacks, so he will be able to use that W again.
looks like Villanova's team's giving them a little bit of flack here. Some of the players that got subbed out this week. Saint Vicious, is that you in regards to their Infidelis miss smite on Dragon down there?
a little friendly trash talking going back and forth here. And One Eyes is going to be able to clear out that pink ward that Trundle spotted on his way down for that gank.
Something we're not seeing.
We do see some movement going on to the top side of the map right now by Infidelis. He does have his ultimate up, and no flash from Jason. He's a little pushed up in this lane right now.
Something that we're not seeing this week that we definitely saw last week. Here's Infidelis, huge ult in. Nar jumps in on him. He's going to pop the ult, and he's going to throw a Q out, and it's a free kill. Jace caught out. He didn't have too much vision control. You got to realize that it's Nocturne. That pink ward and River's not going to be able to do too much for you. You got to get a little bit deeper vision, especially when Nocturne hits level 11. That ult range is pretty darn far.
Yep, and something that you were saying is this Diana getting snowballed, but that's actually what's happening right now. Shiny's getting really soaked down by these Qs in mid lane by Cow Render, and Diana's really starting to hurt. We got that triple Doran's build going on. That's a really
Jerome on bot lane getting a free kill, actually a free double kill here. Chasing down, he had to burn his flash to get over to the wall to pick up the Caitlyn kill. We're seeing a lot of misspent gold, I feel, from the side of We Are Lions here. We have 3 Dorans and 2 on Diana in mid lane and 2 Dorans on Caitlyn in bot lane. This gold could be going towards things that scale much better into the late game, and they're not very cost effective, especially when you go to sell them. They're not going to give you that gold return that you need. And something that I was noting earlier is that Abyssal Scepter Rush on Diana is extremely strong, especially against another AP laner like Diana. It would give her a lot of resistances that she needs in this lane, and it would give her so much more burst when she gets in on her to proc the aura from Abyssal.
Yep. And we actually see Jerome chunking down this tower because he's got that early sheen, so with those 4 kills, he's going to be able to put out a lot of damage in this bot lane, and One Eye's coming in with the shield, and oh man, Felix Watson wants part of this too. He actually gets the Valkyrie over the pillar, but man, Felix is fast right now. Helping's going to come in with the snare, it looks like. He gets the slow off on both of them, the shield comes down, and Jerome and Helping are just going to walk out of this one, but well played by One Eyes and Felix to put some pressure on that bot side of the map.
Yeah, we saw Infidelis rotating down, but Felix is going to pick up this pink ward over here in Tribush to trade it out. Felix is just he's kind of a monster this game. I'm fairly well surprised by his Trundle play.
Yeah, he's got really good map movements.
I gave him a little flack for it early game, and he's giving it back to me now. We are seeing the 3-0 Infidelis though. We know how strong he is on his Nocturne and all of his in-your-face junglers, and it's an immense amount of map pressure this guy can pull out. His counter ganks are phenomenal. We saw that coming out of the top lane for a free kill down on Jace. We are seeing the Triforce finished up on Corki, so we're going to see a huge damage spike coming out of him on bot lane with the Karma.
And one of the interesting things that we're going to see here is Dragon's actually coming up in 15 seconds, and the Villanova Wildcats are a good 5k gold up right now. Even though We Are Lions does have a 8% damage increase right now from the first Dragon buff that Diana got with that amazing steal. We're going to have to see how this fight's going to go down. Echo Prime is taking a lot of damage from Helping. One Eye's going to overextend a little bit and gets slowed up by the Frost Queen's claim. The Q's coming out from both Helping and Jerome down in bot lane and gets a lot of damage.
Felix is also getting chased down. Orianna burns her ult. Oh, you were commenting. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, Orianna burns her ult right there on Felix. He was a little deep in their jungle, and Infidelis and Shiny are just going to pick up that kill for free.
I was going to punish him for that deep ward. He did get off a ward over on that blue buff. I feel like that's what his goal was, but he did get scouted out by a ward on River that actually just timed out. So.
Yep. And Jerome and Helping going down and sniping Echo Project and One Eyes in this bot lane as well. It looks like Kyle and Infidelis are going to do a little dancing around this red buff right now.
Huge amount of chunk coming out from Shiny onto Kyle. Kyle having to pop his shield to walk away here.
Yeah, but is he going to turn this one around? It looks like he's going to. Infidelis comes in with an awesome ult, a beautiful barrier, but Infidelis goes in with the flash, and a nice ult from Infidelis, but here comes Felix. He does get the pillar off, but it doesn't quite block him off. He's getting stuck on minions right now. Wow, the minion block on Felix is real. And Infidelis walks away for free on that one.
Valkyrie's over the wall on bot lane. Jerome popping his Q ult. Caitlyn's forced to flash away here. Or E away, I'm sorry. Helping coming in.
Looks like he might get stunned up. He does get stunned up. Jerome popping the Q and the ult. Is that going to be enough? The Ignite goes down, and One Eyes just barely lives with that shield. So, well played by them.
Slight correction real quick, my friend. His name is Oh No, Oh Yes. Not One Eyes.
Gotcha. Oh no. Oh yes.
We are seeing Villanova group for this dragon here, setting up the pink ward on the way over. It's like the first dragon on the way of Villanova, so they are going to get their 8% stat boost here now.
Yep, and that is going to be the dragon going over to the Villanova Wildcats. It doesn't give global gold anymore, but I don't think they're locking on global gold right now with an 8k lead up on the We Are Lions. Meister actually going to TP into top lane right now. He does go Mega Form, pushes Bono into the turret, but the turret does go down. He's throwing rocks left and right, and Bono might be able to walk away from this one in hammer form. Is he going to be able to get the move speed buff though? The rock might come out from here from Mister in just a second, and it does. It hits him. He might have to flash over the wall. And that's going to be a flash burn. Oh, and he jumps over and follows another rock hitting up, and here comes Mister. It goes back into mini Gnar and gets the kill up in top lane. And a solo kill.
That was a really solid play by Gnar there, knowing when his rage was going to come up. He jumped the wall, knowing that the rock slow would give him just enough time to get in there with his, his normal mini Gnar form and boomerang him right in the face. We are seeing a blue buff coming over down for Kyle now. Maybe this will give him the extra little push that he needs to get some more pressure out of mid lane. We're seeing a Sheen coming out of him now, still with that 3 Dorans. Still really ineffective stats, but it gave him a solid mid-game spike, but he hasn't been able to abuse it too much.
And that might be the saving grace for We Are Lions right now, just Kyle is able to get ahead. But Echo Project taking a lot of damage from Helping and Jerome over this wall. He's not going to be able to get snared up though. And Shiny and Helping and Jerome are just going to walk out of this one as well as Infidelis. Felix comes in for the pillar. He is hitting those pillars pretty nicely, but I just think they're a little bit too far behind right now to do anything about it.
Yeah, at this point, we're going to see the very strong mid-game spike coming out of Villanova, and I feel like they know that they need to abuse it. They have the Orianna and the Nocturne to just jump in there with that Orianna ball, or maybe even a Gnar with that. And Corki, we know he has an immense mid-game power. He's probably one of the strongest mid-game ADCs in the game right now. Helping coming in with a huge pillar.
Helping getting a little cut out right here, and the ults go down on him as well. Helping is walking away, limping away with a little bit of help, but the Frost Queen claim comes out to slow him. A nice shock blast, but it just barely misses Helping, and they're going to clear out that pink ward as well. Fighting over vision for the dragon that isn't there.
In regards to itemization pass we can look at right now, we have Infidelis with a really early Blade of the Rune King rush, who's actually going to be pretty squishy going into these fights, and we've seen it. He's been getting kind of nuked down to about half health, but the return damage coming out of him is just enough to keep him alive in these fights, so maybe we'll see him tank up here soon.
Yep, and Helping's actually turning into a carry on his own right now with the Sork Shoes and a Frost Queen's claim, and it looks like he's building into the Haunting guys as well. We really see that Helping knows his karma in and out. He is very adept at that champion.
Look down on bot lane, we actually have Shiny in between Felix and Echo down here.
Yep, and Echo's going to be kiting back. Shiny whips the ult. Echo is getting auto attacks on there. The barrier comes out. Shiny flashes away. Felix is going to get some auto attacks too, and that's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade in that bot lane. Nice dodge on that ult actually by Echo Project.
Yeah, that was kind of the game changer there. If Orianna hit that ult, she probably would have picked up the double kill and walked away with just as much health as she walked in with. But we're seeing a Q coming out of the Kyle. Maybe he's going to go in. He hits all 3 of them. Lined up. Oh no, running in with the Tornado. He's getting nuked down.
Yep.
Gnar jumps in. He's on
Mega. Comes in. A nice interrupt by Ono right there to Gnar to save his life, but man, he just got a little bit out of position right there, and we see the chunk in the mid-game power spike that we were talking about. Here comes Jace though, coming in on Infidelis, Helping does get the setup, and then Kyle comes in with a huge Q and hits 2 of them, but man, they are too far ahead right now. Infidelis going in really deep. Felix is going to pick up the kill right there, and Gnar is coming in as well. The ult goes off on the Corki and picks him up on the backside of the fight. Felix is going to chase down, but Gnar is just too fast for them, going with the slows as well. Jace coming in for the shock blast, just barely misses on the backside, and that's going to be a 1-for-3 in favor
of Echo needs to back
Lions.
up here. That was a huge trade for them, but I feel like Echo needs to back up here. They got that 3-for-1 trade. Maybe 3-for-2? Did Ono die in that beginning of the fight? I did not catch that, even if he did.
Remember, he had interrupted Gnar, actually.
That was a huge 3-for-1 trade, and that brings them back into this game. Caitlyn picking up a kill for herself, giving herself a little bit more gold worth, and she's getting close to that Infinity Edge now. She did fall really behind in lane. She was down 20 CS for solid 5 or 6 minutes, and she's just finally picking up her BF sword, so that kill might be just enough to get her into this game. Jace was pretty big that fight. We saw the damage coming out of Diana out of nowhere, flying around the corner and just destroying Helping.
Yep, and it was that siege comp that we were talking about that's actually a good defending comp as well. The Jace shock blast and the Diana Qs as well, that did a lot of damage to AoE damage to the whole team of the Villanova Wildcats. And even though they are having their mid-game power spike right now, it's only going to last so long. They do have that Orianna sort of for the safety net in the late game, but Caitlyn and Jace are very huge late game threats and will just be able to kite back for the most part.
Who do you feel has the strongest late game here? You're saying that Orianna's huge safety net for late game with that huge CC ult that she has. But I also feel like Nocturne might be a threat late game if he gets pretty tanky with that early Blade of the Rune King rush with the... What modification does he have? Yeah, the Warrior modification on his Smite item actually giving him increased armor. It's pretty much it's a mini Yuumu's. You know, you get some armor pens, some CDRs, and a lot of physical damage. 45 on that. It might as well just be a BF sword.
Yep, and he is going to be able to dive in on Caitlyn, but the thing about Caitlyn is she's a very safe AD carry, and with Nocturne and Gnar diving in onto Caitlyn, you still have that Janna as a safety net as well, so both teams do have very good late game teams, and I think it's just going to come down to see how much Jerome and Helping are going to be able to poke out. We do see a huge Shock Blast coming down to Jerome and Helping right there, and that's the damage that I was talking about that happened in the last team, but that really chunked out the team with AoE damage.
Yeah, something also to note here on our build pass that we have going is that we have Karma going on this pure damage carry that we were talking about. We have Janna going for this pure support, so we might be able to see Echo stay alive in these teamfights that he probably shouldn't be able to stay alive in. So,
yep, with the sheer power, but here comes the Dragon right now, and Phil was looking to start it up, but here comes Kyle with a nice ultimate onto Shiny. Shiny taking a ton of damage, is taken down right away. Infidel's coming around as well. Kyle's taking a lot of damage. A beautiful ult by Ono, and Infidelis gets exhausted. Jerome's gonna Valkyrie in, and Helping's getting Q's out as well. Infidelis limping away, but that's a 1-for-0 trade from We Are Lions. And they're just slowly limping their way back into this game. But are they done yet? Felix is going to clear up with that pink ward, but Helping is throwing out Q's as well. The pillar comes down. A lot of damage coming out from Shock Blast as well, and both teams are just poking back and forth at each other. Very poke-kite comps right now from both teams is making these team fights long and extended and brutal to watch.
Yeah, we saw a kill coming down for We Are Lions, but they couldn't really do much. Ono's getting caught out here. Gnar jumps in.
But we do see that Shock Blast coming out.
Meister's pretty deep, but they are all pretty subpar 50 health. You gotta talk to me. Go ahead.
Yep, and Echo actually gets ulted on by Infidelis right here, and the Fear goes down as well. Echo's going to be picked off on the backside of this fight. Oh, is he going to be picked off? It looks like he is. Mister coming in as well, and Felix and One Eyes are limping away with just barely any HP. A nice tornado comes out, but is that going to be enough to save him? The red buff's ticking, and the shield from the turret is going to save him. Infidelis coming in with the Q speed up, but that's not going to be enough, and they're diving really huge. Infidelis does hit the Q on the backside, and he's trying to follow up as well, but they are diving very deep right now. And We Are Lions might be able to respawn and take advantage of this, but it looks like they're just going to get a tower off of it.
Something to note there is We Are Lions were all subpar 50 health, or 50% health that entire time. They just were kind of like, all right, do we go for Dragon? Do we not go for Dragon? And we're seeing the indecisiveness kind of get punished by Villanova here. They were all 50, like below 50 health, and we have that huge Gnar with the Randuin Spirit Visage rush, not Spirit Visage, I'm sorry, Spectre's Cowl, and it uses kind of this huge tanky force that they couldn't really deal with. They didn't know if they should try to kill him or just run. And again, like I'm talking about, this indecisiveness is really, really slowly picking away at the Red Lions team here. Second Dragon coming out for... Oh,
a beautiful ult by Shiny onto Ono and Bond, and they're going to go very low. A huge team by tons of damage coming down onto Infidelis by Felix, and the ult goes down as well, but it's not going to be enough. Helping throwing Qs out through the whole fight, doing a ton of damage. Diana's not going to do enough right now, but she is going to be able to take out Karma right there on the backside. Jerome and Meister are going to be poking out with the rocks and the rockets, and here comes the Q from Jerome. Tons of burst damage coming down onto Echo Project, and that might be enough for them to just walk away from this one. And that's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange.
You know, I feel like Diana might want to try to re-engage here. She knows that all of her opponents are below 10% health, and she has her ult up. You know, that reset off that Q ult. She might be able to just nuke these people if she gets some vision on them. Orianna's especially extremely low, and if she can just get in, maybe with a flash QR. No, her flash is down. I don't know. Never know with these plays. I'm telling you, Diana is one of the craziest late game carries if she just gets a couple early kills, and she can make some of the most insane plays come out of nowhere. But I do have to disagree with this build. Like I said, I'm one of those few Diana players who actually, you know, plays Diana consistently, and I don't really agree with the Sheen into a Rabadon's rush. I feel like you should have definitely gone for a early Abyssal Scepter. It would have given her a much stronger lane into this really, really heavy magic damage team, actually. We're seeing a lot of magic damage out of Karma. We know Corki has a ton of magic damage on his Q and his ult, and Orianna for extra magic damage in there. If I hadn't already mentioned her, I think it said Karma first. No,
and you know, I think that
go ahead.
The name of the game on that last fight was that beautiful Orianna ult that caught out On and Felix on their way out of that dragon pit right there. They were just walking out, clearing some vision up, and the two-man Orianna ult did so much damage to them, and Kyle actually came in and was able to clean up a couple kills here and there, so they did make the best out of a worse situation, but I think you're right. If he had gone a little bit more of an aggressive build, he might be having a bit more of an effect on this game.
Yeah, and something to note is Janna didn't really get to use her ult to its full potential. You know, you usually use it to disengage and heal your team at the same time. Janna kind of just ran into the bush behind her team and ulted, and they all kind of walked back into her ult. That way they could get some heals off, so we didn't see the huge disengage out of that. After she got ulted initially by Oriana, maybe she could have stepped into the enemy team, ulted, and then ran away, and her whole team could have lived, and maybe one death for the team. You know, we saw 3 deaths coming out on the side of We Are Lions, and fairly one-sided fight.
And we also saw Echo Project going for the really aggressive play in that last fight, and Jerome's burst damage onto Echo Projects was just, it bursted him from about 60% health with the Janna shield.
That was insane.
To dead. And I mean, it's the kind of burst damage that you were talking about with this mid-game Corki power spike, and we're going to see if that's ever going to fall off, because going into late game here, Corki's not quite as strong as a hyper carry, but he does still have that burst, and Infidels is getting on Ono right now, and Ono might be caught out right here. Helping's going to go around the backside to ultimate force stab, and Infidels is actually going to dive in on the Echo Project. A nice 2-hit all on the field, Felix and Ono, and Echo Project's going to go down as well. There's just so much damage on the side of the Villanova Wildcats right now that there is nothing that We Are Lions can do.
Yeah, something to note is we don't really have a huge tank on the side of We Are Lions here to hold up against that front line that we are seeing on the side of Villanova. Like, we have that huge Gnar with the random Visage, and we have Nocturne now picking up some tank items with his Merc Treads, and he's got that Giant's Belt with the cloth armor, probably built into a second Randolins for his team. And what do we have on the side of We Are Lions? We have nothing. We have a Phage Trundle and a Warden's Mail. That's really ineffective stats. Like, what's armor mean if you only have 1,000 health, you know?
Yep, and Trundle actually opted for the skirmish for Saber right there, which is interesting, but I think what the name of the game right there was the Phage, and not having enough tanky stats to really survive any sort of poke damage that's coming out of the Wildcats. And when you're playing a Trundle into a very poke team comp and a very poke team comp on your team as well, you really need to get tanky stats to regen and get that Spirit Visage so that you can survive all this magic damage coming out from the Villanova Wildcats.
At the very least, he should be stacking some health, because we know what Trundle's ult does. You know, he steals resistances, so he might be able to, you know, get an early ult on Gnar in the fight, and he'd be just as tanky, if not tankier than Gnar, and give him that huge front face. But we're not seeing enough health on him to make those stats effective. It doesn't matter how much armor you have. You know, mitigation caps off at a certain point, and it's not going to work for him here. We're seeing Diana
actually does have his teleport up.
Yeah, we're finally seeing Diana finish up her Rabadons about 30 minutes into the game now, so it's a little late, because we're seeing 3 items finished over on Oriana and only an item and a half on Diana. There's a huge discrepancy in gold there.
Yep, and even if with that early lead that Diana got, she just wasn't able to keep up with TS on that Oriana, but we do see a collapse here right now into 13 seconds, and Felix goes in with the pillar, but doesn't quite connect onto him, and Kyle's going in as well. He does get the E off, and this is just going to be Meister. Oh, he might be able to get away from this one, but it looks like Jason's going to be able to clean it up with a nice shot blast. Oh, he just barely misses, and 13 seconds goes over the wall, gets hit by the Caitlyn trap, and man, makes it out by the skin of his teeth. The Jace Q just barely backside of that. A nice juke by 13 seconds.
That was pretty big. They committed so many resources top. They had 4 people trying to kill that Gnar that they're getting a lot of push down on that bot lane. Corki and Karma getting a free tower here.
Absolutely. And it's that Triforce IE build that we were talking about last week. The strength of Corki coming into mid-game and scaling a little bit into late game. And Infidels actually comes in with a nice ultimate, followed by the Oriana ultimate on the Kyle, forces out 2 flashes. Oh, a ton of poke damage coming in from Karma and Corki. They might be able to finish the game off this one. They're just going down. Echo Project going low. The burn ticking on both of them. The inhibitor goes down as well. And that is so much damage coming out from the Wildcats. Yet again, they are just so far ahead. And this could be the second inhibitor for them.
You know, something we were talking about before this game was like, is the synergy going to be there with 3 subs? And I definitely feel like it was there. That was an almost instantaneous Nocturne ult into an Oriana ult. Oriana's actually getting caught here by mid lane. Caitlyn picking it up with her ult there. Trundle just there for the slow and the assist.
Yep. A little too far up there by Oriana. Not quite communicating as well as we were talking about, but
yeah, you know,
everyone makes mistakes. And it looks like Villanova's gonna look for their 3rd dragon right now.
That 3rd dragon's pretty big. The second one's not so important, you know, monster minion damage. I guess I can wait clear easier, but this next one, that movement speed might be huge against this Janna with that huge disengage you have. It doesn't matter how much disengage you have, because you're going to match her movement speed now.
Yeah, and this is a big way that Villanova's going to be able to close out this game by getting that NIF speed, getting the rotations, getting the dive potential against that Janna and against that Caitlyn, who are just want to kite you all day.
Most definitely. We are seeing some of the defensive power that comes out on this team, but it's just not quite enough out of We Are Lions here. They're wave clear. It's almost there, but they're just falling slightly behind because they have this huge engage coming out of Villanova Wildcats. There's another format catch here on Gnar. They're going to go in. Oh, they're going to take this pink buff and pink ward, I'm sorry, and just walk away.
And they did take the initiative to go collapse onto Gnar, and had they gotten that kill, they might have been able to make a play up on the top side and maybe got a turret off of it or something like that. But at this point, with 14k gold behind, it's looking like we're going to be going to our next game.
Now this game,
and Kyle
me
getting
once
caught out with a ton of damage, and Kyle was their only real threat right there. The Orianna ult just taking him to 50% health, and Shiny is really on point with these Orianna ults this game, and getting picks, and really providing vision for his team. Echo Project getting caught out by Infidels as well. Maybe he's window shopping right there. He has to blow up the field. Help is coming in with a Q. Jerome going to Valkyrie in as well. Gets a huge Q onto Echo Project as well. Everyone's going low. Infidels getting picked off by Felix on the backside of the fight. The Caitlyn ult comes in under Jerome, and Felix is going to be able to finish off, helping a lot of damage from Echo and Felix over here, but Jerome is throwing rockets and Qs over the side of the wall there, and both teams are just backing out.
But you gotta look at the base
go
on We Are Lions.
Echo
Play by
gets a
Echo.
huge crit off as well.
But look at the base. Shiny and Meiser just finishing up the game here. That looks like it's GG. Game 1 for Villanova Wildcats here. Kyle's going to try and come in. Huge burst down on Shiny. Shiny goes down to that huge combo. I don't feel like he has enough damage to take down this monstrous Gnar, though.
Yeah,
Bundle
Gnar's just too
tickle
big
him.
at this point. Gonna pull the X-Tech off of the back of it, but he is going into Mini Gnar right here. Are they gonna be able to CC lock him? Doesn't look like it. And they finish off the game.
Drum
Game
shows up just to
one
make sure.
of the tournament. Going over to Villanova Wildcats. Well played by you guys, and well played by We Are Lions too. They had a good comp, and I think they knew what they wanted to do with it. They just fell a little bit short in CS and a little bit far behind in gold, and that's really what pushed the Wildcats over. Again, the Wildcats get vision control in the enemy jungle, and it just snowballs leads in their favor. We did see Diana getting a lead in the early game and really pulling ahead, but with the vision control by the Villanova Wildcats, she wasn't really able to make a lot of her roams, and Orianna just got tons of farm and way ahead in gold and items.
Just give everybody some info about what's happening across the brackets. It looks like our last week's second place winners, Too Much Deeps, won their first match out of the series, beating out the free agent team that we had. Sorry for them. That was a little fucked. Not gonna lie, that's a little hard to say. Where Stadnagger's winning their match. We're trying to slowly update the brackets as we go here. We're man down this week, so Stadnagger's taking their first win over Abandon All Hope. And we're just gonna wait for some more info from the rest of these matches. We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break here, folks, and we'll be back here shortly to follow up on the second game by Villanova Wildcats against either against actually they're gonna be against the Yordles, who got a first round bye. So we'll see that match here in about 5 minutes, and we'll be seeing you guys here shortly.
Yep.
Sound muted.